humanity has yet to be contacted by any life from beyond our planet. Ignoring Area 51 truthers and UFO sightings, we have received zero messages from any life, no ETs, no Ewoks, nothing. Given the incredible advances in technology in the past 100 years, there is a good chance that aliens who became spacefaring civilizations even a few hundred years before us would be unimaginably more advanced than we are now. We have thought of many different ways to transmit messages across the cosmos. So if super advanced aliens wanted to communicate with us, here are some ways they could do it. 1. Change the laws of physics. When we look out into the cosmos, we assume that the same laws of physics apply everywhere and that they are permanent and unchangeable. Incredibly, aliens could manipulate physics to make some of the other methods above easier and more doable. Or maybe they could signal their presence or send us a message by altering things, like the charge of the electron. When you control the laws of physics, you control basically everything. Our puny ape brains can barely comprehend the parts of the universe we do understand, so this kind of technology would probably make our heads explode. 2. Wormholes. We don't actually know if wormholes are physically possible. And if they turn out to be possible, we don't know of any way, natural or otherwise, to create one. At this point, things are just getting crazy. Maybe aliens could insert a wormhole somewhere close by, interstellar style, and use that to send in physical things that relay their radio transmission or something like that. Perhaps they could use the wormhole to send in a fleet of their spacecraft to make contact. Or maybe they could send in those disassemblers from the previous entry, erase us from the universe, and collect all the materials from former Earth. 3. Erasing large things from existence. If they're advanced enough, they could totally do it. Erase large things in a way that would get our attention and then use another method to send an actual signal. They could send in swarms of nanobots to disassemble things into elementary particles or use black holes as a nice little way to delete things from reality. A more reasonable civilization may alter the rate of decay of some cosmological object, perhaps making a red dwarf star, a type of star that can burn for trillions of years, burn out in a comparatively short time. 4. Bombard us with high-energy particles. Earth receives tons of radiation on a daily basis. But if aliens could increase that amount and then vary it to send us a message, we could detect it. Send a bunch of crazy high-energy cosmic rays, so much so that it increases our radiation exposure by a few % and scientists would notice it. Alternate the amount of particles to encode a message. Of course, this might not be the most eco-friendly option. But aliens probably don't care about the biological integrity of a few billion ape descendants. There is no known way to do this on a large scale. We also don't know how to target it. In fact, this probably isn't the smartest or most efficient way to go about communicating with extraterrestrials. But if they're capable of such a feat, why not? 5. Gravitational waves. Humanity has recently developed the ability to detect gravitational waves, rapid changes in the curvature of space-time. Back in 2015, the scientists at the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Observatory, LIGO, experiment announced that they had discovered ripples in the fabric of space and time, marking the first time that humans had discovered these waves. 6. Playing with the cosmos. A civilization millions of years more advanced than us could very well be able to control the movements of celestial objects within their galaxy, right? So they could just mess with nearby stars and other celestial bodies to get our attention. accelerate things to near the speed of light, then slow them down, then do it again and again and again. Eventually, someone has to notice. 7. Dyson spheres or Dyson swarm. This is similar to the last entry except that the civilization is more advanced and the primary goal isn't to contact us. Instead, the aim is to collect the entire energy output of a star. The alien civilization could alter the starlight to send us some kind of intelligent-looking message. This could even be easier to detect than the effects of a geometric shape because of the absolutely massive dips in starlight. The alien 8. Starlight. You've probably heard of the Kepler Space Telescope. It's a NASA telescope that searches for planets around other stars by watching the dip in the star's light as an exoplanet passes in front of the star. But what if a slightly more advanced civilization than our own puts a gigantic rectangle into orbit around the star? Or a triangle? Or an oddly shaped 1258-sided geometric figure? We would just have to figure out what this would look like in the data collected by the telescope, which is totally doable. The alien civilization doesn't even have to be that advanced. In a few hundred years, we could very well be capable of such a feat. Just make the object incredibly thin, out of carbon fiber or something like that, and assemble it in parts in orbit. Orbit. 9. Lasers, of course. While radio waves become crazy hard to decipher at cosmic distances, lasers could be a more reasonable way to communicate. The integrity of the signal is kept for much greater distances than radio waves, and it will look very distinct to us here on Earth. If the civilization is advanced enough, they could send massive gamma-ray blasts into space. They will last the longest and could really stand out. Of course, that takes incredible amounts of energy. But we're assuming the aliens have access to that. Up 10. Plain old radio waves. This is what first comes to most people's minds when they think of communicating with aliens. Receiving messages in this form is the subject of many books and movies, like Contact or Independence Day, and it is a good start. After all, we've been playing around with radio waves for over a century, and we've become rather good at it. Plenty of serious scientists and organizations, like SETI, are investing their time in listening for alien communications in radio waves.